Weekdays with Bernie segment tonight. We've been analyzing the jihad threat so far this evening, and as you may know, President Obama addressed it last night in a 60 Minutes interview. Joining us now from North Carolina, purveyor, BernardGoldberg.com, Mr. Goldberg. So, I want you to grade the interview, A to F. You give it?
I won't give it an A. I won't give it an F. I'll be diplomatic and say it's something, something in between A and F. Let's leave it at that. But the real question, Bill, and you and I have discussed this in the past, is President Obama is very savvy or slick or whatever you want to call it. And how do you get information from him when you're doing an interview? I think if you even are going to stand a chance, it has to be with follow-up questions. And I think Steve Kroft's questions were fine. The follow-ups, not so much. I'll give you 3 examples. On terrorism. As you've discussed earlier, the president said that they were unaware of the threat to ISIS, how big the threat had become, and he laid that off on the intelligence community. Well, Kroft could have and should have said, well, if it's James Clapper, the head of intelligence's fault, as you mentioned earlier, Bill, why don't you fire him? He could have at least put him on the spot. That's number one. On the economy, the president said, when I took office, unemployment was 10%, now it's 6.1%. Kroft should have pointed out, but Mr. President, a big reason for that is that a lot of people just stopped looking for work, millions and millions of them. And if the economy is so much better, how come over 40 million people are on food stamps? And why are so many people working part-time jobs? He didn't do that. When the president said that the economy would get better if we raised the minimum wage, well, Kroft could have said the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says that you'd get 900,000 people out of poverty, but you'd lose 500,000 jobs. And here's one that Kroft really could have taken advantage of. When the president said the economy would improve if women got paid the same as men for the same work, Kroft should have said, and I would have loved to be in that interview for that one, I would have said, Mr. President, think about this. If women really aren't getting paid the same as men for the same work, for the same job, with the same amount of experience, why would anybody ever hire a man at all? Look at all the money you could save just by hiring women. And finally, on the midterm elections, Kroft asked this question: are you optimistic? What are the issues and what are you going to tell the American people? That's nothing but an invitation for the president to give a free campaign commercial.
Which he did.
Which he did.
But to me, look, I know Steve Kroft for a long time. I think you know him too. And he's a good journalist. And when I was coming up, he was one of the guys on the street that I watched as a competitor, and he filed very good reports from around the world. But what they don't do, and they do this so they can get access, I think this is Kroft's 4th or 5th interview with him, is that they don't do what I do in the sense that they don't debate him. See, that's how the only way you're going to get, that's how I got the smidgen comment about the IRS corruption out of him. You got to debate him. And with the ISIS threat being so intense, all right, you got to say something like, Mr. President, isn't it your fault that these 2 American journalists were beheaded? Because if you had taken action last March when you should have, these guys might have been dead by now. All the ISIS guys, you might have been able to get them. See, you got to be provocative, and because he does react to that.
And you have to be respectful and provocative at the same time.
Right. And see, if you're going to interview President Obama with just questions, even if you have the follow-ups ready, you're going to lose. He's too good. And he's got his talking points down.
But the follow-ups are your only shot. But here's the thing. Steve Kroft is no Bill O'Reilly, and I think both of you would take that as a compliment, okay?
I'm sure he would.
Can I give you one quick statistic that I don't think anybody out there knows about, except if you're in the entertainment business? 1 week ago, on the season premiere of 60 Minutes, 18 million people tuned in, 17.9 million, okay? There was a big football game as a lead-in, but 18 million tuned in. Last night, and the football game wasn't as important, last night only 9.1 million people tuned in. Even when you factor in the difference in the quality of the lead-in football game, That is a tremendous drop-off, a 50% drop-off.
Yeah.
Right, and I think what's happening out there, and this does not bode well for President Obama or the Democratic Party, I think what's happening is that even with all the promotion that he was going to be on and all, people say, I don't want to hear him.
Yeah,
I've heard it all already. I've heard it all.
Yep.
It in one ear, out the other, and I don't want to sit down and listen to this anymore.
I agree. Bernie Goldberg, everybody. We come right back. Megyn Kelly with an update on the U.S. Marine incarceration.